Guys, how's it going? Jimmy here with an iMovie tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get from this to what you're about to see with only using what's already available to you within iMovie. Music and sound effects can really bring your movies to life, and I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. I've already selected a few clips in my timeline so I can go ahead and show you. And the first thing we want to do is bring down the volume of all of the clips. So this line that goes through the clip just on the sound wave, you want to put your mouse on the line so you can see the up and down arrow. We're going to click and drag that all the way down, and I'm just going to do that to the other two clips. I don't have to do it with the last one, as of course that is a photo. Now the storyline I'm going with, I filmed this a couple of years ago back in Thailand, and as you can see from the beginning of this video that it's all on the beach. Now when choosing your ambient sound and your sound effect sounds, of course you want it to be in line with the environment that you filmed in. So as I mentioned at the very beginning, all of the music and the sound effects that I used in my video is included in iMovie itself. There's no extra plugins you have to download, no extra money you need to spend. And where we find this is going to be in the audio tab up here. Now on the sidebar on the left here, it gives you three options. We have music, which will take you to your iTunes selection. Then we have sound effects that comes with iMovie. And if you use GarageBand, you also have that option too, but we're going to be using sound effects for this example. Now straight off, iMovie gives you a big list of sound effects, and iMovie doesn't hold off from this. If I can keep scrolling, and there's still so much there. I've got ambience, animal sounds, explosions, Foley sounds. There's so many to choose from, so I can guarantee that whatever environment you filmed in, you can probably find the sound effects in the audio bank that iMovie provides. So earlier I said we're on a beach scene, and of course when you're at the beach, you're going to be hearing the ocean, you're going to be hearing waves. So that's the first thing that I want to be searching for. So I'm going to type in ocean and see what comes up. And straight away it gives you quite a good list of ocean sounds. This is the one that I'm going to be going for. It's going to be the Water Ocean Pier 01. We'll just have a little listen, see what it looks like. And that will work nicely with the type of environment that I'm in, because the waves aren't crashing. The ocean is quite still. We've got a bit of Foley sounds in there as well, so you can hear the seagull, and that will work really well with my storyline. So to bring that into the timeline, we're just going to click and drag, and we're going to bring it underneath our clips. Now from looking at the time, the clip is a little bit long. It's reaching 1 minute and 32 seconds, and I don't want that. So what I can do, I can go all the way to the end of the track, and I can click and drag, and that will bring it all the way in, but sometimes that can take too long. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the end of my clip. Now for some reason it doesn't work here. Let me try it. By pressing Command and B, it just doesn't work. So I want to split the clip so I can get rid of it. So I'm going to go just before it ends. I'm going to click again, make sure the playhead is in place, and I'm going to press Command and B, and that split my track in two, and I can just get rid of that. And then I can extend it to where I actually want it to be. So now we have our ambient sound going right across the footage. Guys, this may not be the case for you. You might be jumping from scene to scene, such as a forest and a beach and a city, for example. So of course you don't want the waves going through the whole storyline. Make sure you're using the appropriate sound effects relative to the environment that you are in. After that, I want to bring in a couple more things. Now, of course, we are at the ocean, and when you do think of the ocean, you also think of boats. So I want to bring in a boat sound. Now, if we look at this clip here, we can see a boat, which can help with the sound that I'm about to choose. Of course, when we go into our next clip, we are also going into a boat. Now, again, the sound clip I'm about to use is not going to represent this boat, but it helps the viewer understand what's going on, and they're not just relying on the visuals. So in the search bar, I'm going to be searching for boat. And the sound I want to be using is the boat foghorn. So let's give that a listen. Nice and powerful. So again, I want to be dragging and dropping this into our timeline, but I want to make sure it goes into the place where I want it to be. So let's do that. We can drag as many as we want down here. There's no limit to how many you actually want to use. Let's bring this up a bit so we can see. So I want it to transition between the two clips, and I think that will work really well. So I'm going to cut this down to about halfway through the boat clip. So around about there. So I want it starting just before the transition, and I want it to end just after the transition, but we're not going to go into the flag. So let's give that a listen. Let's see what it sounds like. Now that sounds really nice and it goes really well with the transition going from the sea to the boat. The next clip we're going to be using is going to be the flag. Now as you can see, this flag is the same flag on this boat, so it's right there. So it's flapping in the wind. Maybe we can get the sound of the flag flapping in the wind, and I think that will work really well. So again, I'm going to go to the search bar in the audio tool and I'm going to search for flag. And there we go, it's the only one that comes up. Let's give it a listen. Almost sounds like someone's just grabbed a towel and flapping it in front of a microphone, but it works. When it's mixed in with other sounds, it can camouflage how bad the sound is. Not all sounds are bad, but some of them are a little bit bad. But when you put it in with a bunch of other things, it can really camouflage that sound. So again, we will drag and drop, and we can actually start this at the beginning of the boat clip. And it doesn't matter if it goes onto the photo of the boat, because again, it's got the flag. Even though the flag's not moving in the wind, sometimes audio can make the viewer feel like that it's actually moving in the wind. So we're actually going to keep that. We're going to keep that as long as we can. So with what we got, let's give it a listen. Sounding really nice, but I know we can add a couple more things in there. As we go from video to photo, I want to emphasize that this is a photo. Now again, iMovie comes with many sounds, and I'm just going to search in here, camera. And it gives us quite a few sounds here. Now my favorite camera sound is actually camera 1. Even though on the sound wave, you can see it goes constantly. And I'll play that for you so you can hear it. But what I can do is that I can bring it in and I can just choose one of those shutter sounds. So I'm going to drag and drop as we've done with all of them. I'm going to put it right at the beginning there. Of course, we don't want the rest of these shutter sounds. So I'm going to click on the clip around about here. Again, I'm going to press Command and B, and that will split the clip into two. I'm going to click on the second clip and I'm going to get rid of that. Now let's give that a listen. Let's see what it sounds like. Now that sounds really good. With the transition going from motion to a still photo, the viewer knows that this is a still image with the sound of that camera shutter. There is one other thing that we can do with the boat foghorn, is that we can make it sound distant. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and click that. And above the preview screen, we've got the filter and audio effects. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And then I'm going to choose audio effect. Click where it says none, and it will bring up a nice selection for you. Now again, I want it to sound like it's in the distance, and I can already see that we have a few options to make it sound like that. What we're looking for is a lot of reverb, or as if you're in a church, for example, and the sound is bouncing off the walls. So we got small room, medium room, and large room, and we can listen just by placing the mouse over the top. We can listen to how that is going to sound before we apply the effect. Now I quite like the cathedral because it makes it sound like it's really far away. So I'm going to click on that, and now we have that effect applied to the boat foghorn. So let's give that a listen. And of course, the last thing we can do to make it realistic is turn it down just a little bit. That's sounding really good. Before we do get onto the music, you'll probably notice that some of the sounds are coming in quite harsh. So what we can do is we can fade it in and we can fade it out. So I'll give you an example on the boat foghorn again. If I play it through, you'll notice how snappy it is when it ends. And we don't want that. We want a nice fade out. So I'm gonna come to these little dots above here. If you place your mouse in the right position, you'll get the arrows going from side to side. I'm gonna drag that around about 0.9. I think that's good. You don't want it too much when fading in, but when fading out, I want it to sound natural. So I'm going to go onto this side, and I'm going to click, and I'm going to drag to the left. I'm going to bring it out to around about a second there. Now let's give that a listen. So I'm going to do that with the rest of these sounds so that they sound a little bit more natural. Okay, now going into the music. Of course, you can use any music you want. If you are looking to monetize on YouTube, then of course you want to look out for copyright music. So you can't just go ahead and choose a Justin Bieber song, for example, because that will get flagged and you won't get monetized. But as I said, iMovie comes with a lot of options, and it even comes with jingles. And the music on this is actually somewhat not too bad. Now I found a song, it's called Pendulum. Let's just give that a listen. And I think that works really well with the storyline that I'm trying to pursue. Now, when you're choosing music, you want to choose carefully because you got to choose with the environment. So for example, I've got quite a subtle environment going on, and this subtle music actually goes really well with it. If you're at a party, for example, this music is not going to work. You want to choose more upbeat music, but it can take time finding the right song. And trust me, you can spend a long time doing it, but it is worth it in the end. So before I drag this in, at the very bottom of our timeline, you can actually see there's a section for the music. So I'm going to drag it into that part of the timeline. And I'm going to bring this right at the beginning. Let's give that a listen. They're sounding really nice. So there are a few more bits that we can do before we're finished. That's mixing the audio so it all sounds level. Now the music is a little bit overpowering, so I'm going to turn that down a little bit as it drowns the ocean sounds out. And the flag was a little bit too in your face as well, so I'm going to bring that down too. Just going to chop off this last bit as well. Again, Command and B to split, and then we'll just get rid of that second clip. And we can also fade out the music as well, so it's fading out with the sound effects with it. Now, talking about fade-ins and fade-outs, there is one more thing that we can do with the footage to make it look that little bit more pretty, is that we can go right to the beginning here, click, and I'm going to press Command and T, and what that's going to do is it's going to bring in a nice fade-in at the beginning of the clip. So I'll just quickly watch that through. There we go. That's looking a lot nicer, and it's not so abrupt. And we can do the same at the very end as well, but I don't think if we just click here, for example, it's not gonna, yeah, it won't do it. So I'm gonna click on the clip and I'm gonna press Command and T, and it brings in a transition on both sides of the clips. Now I don't want this transition at the beginning, so I'm just gonna click, press the delete key, and there we go, that's gone. And now we can check out what it looks like when it ends. That's looking really nice, and there's one last thing I want to do, and that's to make sure that the sound effects and the music fade out at the same time as the visuals. So here's my short movie one last time so you can check out the final product. Now thanks for watching guys, I've got more videos coming out soon that will help you up your game in iMovie. Otherwise, I will catch you in the next one.